You're watching JCTV, the public access channel from Jefferson City, from the campus of Lincoln University. I'm pleased to bring you the very first episode of my first show, Real Talk with Rita Renee. Here, I will be covering topics relevant and important in today's world and to my generation. This episode of Real Talk focuses on the stigmas, struggles, and success of the homosexual student. In the past year, in 2010, a trend of suicides in the LGBT community was at an alarming high. In a 6 to 8 week period, there were 14 men and women who committed suicide due to months of bullying and torment from their peers. Of these 14, 6 were either lesbian or gay students. The youngest of these suicides were two 13-year-old boys. Let's take a more in-depth look at what some of these teens in the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community have been exposed to. In 1998, 22-year-old Matthew Shepard was attacked in Laramie, Wyoming, by two men who tied him to a split-rail fence, severely beat him, and left Matthew to die. All because of their bigotry and hate for his orientation of being a homosexual male. Since this act of violence occurred, the LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgendered community has been on a steady increase of being one of the main groups subject to hate crimes and issues of bias incidents. These incidents and crimes can range from cyberbullying, vandalism on public and private property, verbal threats, to physical violence, which often leads to murder. In the past year of 2010, a trend of suicides in the LGBT community was at an alarming high. In a 6 to 8 week period, there were 14 men and women who committed suicide due to months of bullying and torment from their peers. Of these 14, 6 were either lesbian or gay students. The youngest of these suicides were two 13-year-old boys. The deaths of those 6 teenagers are what inspired me to do this show, discussing the stigmas and struggles of the homosexual student and in the LGBT community as a whole. But I do not want to give the perspective that being a homosexual only leads to a life of threats, low self-esteem, and shame. So on Real Talk with Rita Renee, I will also be talking about the success stories in the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community. I have someone here with me today who will help me discuss today's topic. We have some footage of our guest joining us today. His name is DeMario Patent, and this is his story. DeMario Patent attends Lincoln University in Missouri as a sophomore from San Francisco, California. He has led a life similar to many of those in the Black community. He was raised in a single-parent household by his mother and often had to literally fight for the respect from his classmates in junior high and in high school. However, the respect DeMario was fighting for was different from the respect other Black males in his community were competing to receive. DeMario had to fight for the respect of being an openly gay Black male. Now we're here with DeMario Patent. Now you're a student at Lincoln University, correct?
Yeah.
And you're a sophomore. Congratulations, and thank you for being here.
Oh, no problem. You're welcome.
Now, if you don't mind, I just want to go straight into your story. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. Now, you told me that you officially came out the closet in 9th grade.
Uh-huh.
Now, how soon or earlier before that did you know you started to have attraction for the same sex?
I knew I had an attraction for the same sex a long time ago. I remember being in preschool and just playing with the young kids and stuff, playing together. And I remember having a crush on one of my friends. So, and this goes back to when I was like 4. So that's when I really recognized it. I didn't know what it was, I didn't know what it was called, but I knew I had an attraction to guys.
Okay, but how did it feel as you were growing up? You know, I'm sure you hung out with a lot of young men in your area. How did it feel watching them, hanging out with them, listening to them talk about females and girls and what they liked? You know, How did you feel knowing that you didn't feel the same way?
It felt uncomfortable. It felt like I couldn't relate to them. The only way I could relate is through sports, through something that would catch their attention. But when it came to girls, I was kind of quiet. I mean, I might say something here and there so they wouldn't know, like, why is he so quiet while we're talking about girls? Is something wrong? So I might throw a few things in to make it seem like I'm interested, but I was not.
Did you have a few girlfriends growing up just to kind of keep the facade going?
I did have one. It really wasn't a relationship, but I used to say I had one to my friends so then they can think, oh, well, he does have one. Because they already was questioning, asking if I was gay.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Now, you told me that when you finally did tell your friends and family, about you being homosexual, that they were actually very accepting of you. How did you tell them, and how did it feel to kind of get that out?
It felt good to get that out, but I told them, I remember what happened and where it was. We were at the gym, and one of my cousins said she liked one of these guys, and I told her I did too. And she said, are you gay now? And I said, well, I'm not actually gay, I'm bi. Because I was using bi to not tell them all the way gay, because then I didn't know how they would take it. She's like, I already knew that. And I did grow up with her. We did grow up through our whole years together since I was young with each other. So if anything, family knows me the most. So, but they didn't take it any kind of way. My older family didn't even ask. Like, it wasn't a problem, hasn't been. So.
That's awesome. Now, where you're from San Francisco, California?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of kids, grow up fighting. You see fights a lot growing up, and most often those fights are trying to get respect from your neighborhood, trying to show that you're more dominant than someone else. But you said when you got into fights, it was more for acceptance. How do you feel, maybe if you hadn't been gay, that you wouldn't have been fighting for that right to be accepted in your community?
Yeah, but I would have been fighting for, I think, something else. I mean, the neighborhood I grew up in is a really rough neighborhood. So I'm kind of thankful that I kind of am this way. Because if I wasn't, I don't even think I would be in college. I don't think I would have the people that's in my life now. I can be anything. I could have been dead, in a gang right now, life messed up, charges, felonies on my record, anything. So I'm kind of thankful that I came out and I stopped hanging with the dudes that I was hanging with. Then I started hanging with more people that were like me because they were more positive.
Now, how early in your life did you start experiencing the people who didn't accept you? How early did you start getting the gay bashing and just the outright disrespect? When did you start feeling that?
Well, I was getting it even when I wasn't out. Because there was a lot of people who used to question and say, is DeMario gay? And I used to just say no. But then it was something that, I don't know what it was. I think it was my voice, because I had a kind of feminine voice when I was young. But I think it was my voice. And they used to be like, is he gay? Why does he talk like that? And I used to be like, I don't know why I talk like that. This is just how I talk. But I used to hear them talk about gay all the time. Like, you're gay, you're gay. They used to call each other gay, playing around with each other. But I used to like, why do they keep saying that to each other and they're not gay? Like, I never really got that. But until I started getting older, and when I came out and I started dressing a little more feminine and stuff, that's when I started getting negative responses. And that's when I started hearing a lot of people call me, faggots and gay and fruit, all just the little negative names and stuff.
Okay. After finally getting acceptance in your community, you said you got established. You said a lot of people actually had your back because you were comfortable in who you were and you were okay with you. How did it feel leaving your comfort zone and having to start all over again in college?
Well, actually, it felt kind of exciting because I'd never even been out the country. I mean, I never even been out the state. So it felt, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what type of people it was, but I was kind of scared just because I know that the Midwest, the South is different on that kind of stuff. And especially how I am. I'm so used to just going anywhere I want to, looking anyhow I want to without any weird kind of looks all the time. So I was kind of excited. I didn't know what to expect.
Did you think maybe going to an HBCU, because before you came to Lincoln, you went to Langston.
Yeah.
So both of those being HBCUs, did you think it'd be easier of a transition to reestablish yourself being around, being around more black people and that center of an environment?
No. I kind of thought, I forgot the question.
Oh, okay. I know you're doing. Do you feel that going to an HBCU will be a better environment to establish yourself as a gay black male?
No, I don't think it is a better, just because my experience with black people was always rough, more rough than any other race. And it's kind of sad because I am black, and people see me as a homosexual before they see me as my color. So they automatically, oh, he's gay. They don't go, he's black. So, it's hard. I don't think it's easier in the gay community. In the black community, being gay at all.
Was there a difference in going to Langston and coming to Lincoln? Was there a better environment for it? Not really academically, but for you to establish yourself socially. Which do you think was a better environment for that?
Well, I think it was Langston just because I knew people before I got there, which made it more easier to transition. When I came to Lincoln, I was by myself. So I had to start from scratch. And I had to meet people like when they used to see me and stuff, like walking around, they used to introduce themselves, and I used to introduce myself. I had to start from scratch.
What is the difference for you in making friends with a female versus making friends with another male?
Well, with females, we're more easy. I can get along. Females, I attract like that. I could just get along. We could just talk about a whole bunch of stuff. But with males, it's kind of different because I have a few straight male friends, but they're like, to have a straight male friend that is a friend with the homosexual, they have to be really comfortable with themselves and not worry about other people's opinions and what other people think. They have to feel comfortable inside to really actually be friends with a homosexual. And there is people like that out there who are comfortable with themselves, but it's more easier for me with a girl because girls, they don't care if you're gay, straight, as long as you're fun and easy to relate to.
Going back to college, and you live on campus, correct?
Uh-huh.
So have you ever encountered the roommate who didn't want to have the gay roommate? Have you ever had that kind of a situation in either Langston or Lincoln?
To be honest, no. But then I get a bad vibe. Like when I was at Langston, I got a kind of like a bad vibe. Like when one of the dudes, when we first moved in, one of the dudes moved in, then another one, I wasn't there, and I overheard him say, the other one say, oh, he was introducing the other roommates. Then he said, oh, and it's a gay one too. And then so it kind of seemed like he had an attitude, like, and it's a gay one too. And then so I don't know if he was comfortable or not comfortable, but. And at Lincoln, yeah, I have had that experience. Actually, I have. When I was transitioning into a dorm in Perry, and I guess because I was moving from Sherman to Perry because it was less cheaper, and I moved in, and they gave me permission to move. I went to the residence, the White House. And they said I can move, nothing's wrong. So I moved that night, and when I went over there, I was getting a lot of mean mugs, and I was getting a lot of whispers, and I just knew they were talking about me, and I just knew, they were like, why is he in here? Mm-hmm. So when I got to the room, I noticed that when I got to the room in Perry, they moved me in, I moved my stuff in, and then nobody was in there, but I knew it was somebody else I was sharing the room with. So I guess they got there. And right when they walked out, a lot of the students started making fun of the person I was supposed to share a room with. Oh, like, you're sharing a room with the gay person. Ugh, you're a faggot. Just saying negative stuff like that. So then I left because I got tired of hearing everybody's remarks and stuff. And me and my friends left. And when we came back, the resident director was talking to me, and she told me I had to move all the way back to Sherman. Like, why do I have to move all the way back to Sherman when I got permission from the secretary for the resident director that I can move? And then she just told me I had to move back. So it was a big commotion.
Do you feel that maybe you would be better accepted at, I don't want to say a white school, but maybe at a more public school, like if you were going to Mizzou or if you were going to Drake? Do you feel socially and culturally you'd be better accepted at a non-HBCU?
Yeah, yeah. I went to a more of a white school, but it was a junior college. And yeah, I felt way more comfortable. I don't know why, but I just felt like people weren't into me, into my sexuality. It was more into my education. They wanted to get to know me homework-wise, class-wise. So yeah, I do think it's better and it feels better.
All right. Well, we're going to go into a short break, but stay tuned to Real Talk with Rita Renee. When we come back, we're going to talk to DeMario about some of his beliefs and some more about his culture and a lot more about what's going on with him and his life being a gay, black, homosexual male. So we'll get back with that, and you stay tuned with more Real Talk with Rita Renee.